Thomas wasn't looking at the door anymore. That's the thing people don't tell you about waiting. At first, you watch, you listen. Every sound could be the one. But after enough time, you stop. You just exist in the space between now and when she arrives. Thomas sat in the corner booth, the one with the ribbed vinyl that nobody ever chose unless everything else was taken. But everything else wasn't taken. He chose it anyway. The door opened. Wrong person. It opened again. Still wrong. Thomas didn't flinch anymore, didn't turn his head. Just felt the cold air hit his ankles each time and waited for it to pass. See, 3 weeks ago, Thomas got a letter. Not an email, not a text. A letter. Handwriting he recognized but hadn't seen in, God, how long? 30 years? Could have been 30 lives. The envelope didn't have a return address. Just his name, misspelled the way only one person ever misspelled it. Meet me at Morrison's, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Please. That's all it said. No explanation, no signature. Just please at the end, underlined twice. The thing about Morrison's, it wasn't special, wasn't where they first met, wasn't where anything important happened. It was just a place that existed when they both existed in the same space. Before the choices. Before the silence that lasted 3 decades. 2:47 p.m. now. The photo in his pocket was from before. Before everything. 2 people who didn't know yet what they were capable of losing. Smiling like the future was a guarantee. 2:53 p.m. The door opened. Thomas didn't look up. Footsteps. Closer than the others. Stopping at tables, then moving on. Definitely closer. His heart was doing something it hadn't done in... He couldn't remember. Not pounding. Worse. That slow squeeze. The kind that makes you aware you have a heart at all. The footsteps stopped. Right at his table. Thomas looked at the coffee in his cup. Cold now. Small whirlpool in the center from where he'd stirred it 10 minutes ago. Still barely moving.
I wasn't sure you'd come, a voice said. Not the voice he remembered. Older. Weathered in ways that 30 years will do to a person. But underneath? Yeah, that was her. Thomas looked up. 30 years of choices and losses and small victories you'll never know about. Elena looked tired. Good, but tired. Like she'd been carrying something heavy and just set it down. I wasn't sure either, Thomas said. Truth. 3 seconds of silence, then 6, then 10. Someone had to speak first. You look... Elena started. Don't, Thomas said. Not mean. Just don't. She nodded. Understood. I didn't think you'd get the letter, she said. Looking at her hands now, not his face. I sent it to your old address. Thought maybe, I don't know, worth a try. They forwarded it, Thomas said. You stayed in the area, mostly. This is what 30 years of silence sounds like. Fragments, careful words, both of you diffusing a bomb neither of you meant to build. The tea came. She wrapped her hands around the cup but didn't drink, just held it. Anchor. I'm sorry, Elena said. Not to him, to the table. I know that doesn't... I know it's not enough. But I'm... sorry. Why now? Thomas asked instead. She looked up. Eyes older. Carrying things. I'm sick, Elena said. Simple. Direct. I'm not dying tomorrow, but soon enough. And I realized I'd been carrying you around for 30 years. This idea of you. What I thought you'd think of me. What I imagined you'd say if we'd ever... And I needed to know. The real you. Not the one I made up to feel better about leaving. The coffee shop was quieter now. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe Thomas just couldn't hear anything else. What did you think I'd say? He asked. She smiled. Sad smile. The kind that knows the punchline. I thought you'd tell me I ruined everything. That I was selfish. That you spent 30 years hating me. Did I? I don't know. Did you? Thomas thought about it. Really thought. Some days. Yeah.
Some days I did. But most days I just missed you. And I hated that I missed you. which maybe is the same thing. She nodded, sipped the tea finally. I missed you too, she said. Every single day, even the ones I pretended I didn't. I don't know if I can do this, Thomas said. Do what? Forgive you? Be friends? Whatever this is supposed to be. I'm not asking you to, Elena said. I just needed you to know I was sorry. That's all. You don't owe me anything. But here's what Thomas realized sitting there, what clicked in that moment. She didn't come here for forgiveness. She came here to be seen. 30 years of carrying guilt and shame and what ifs. She didn't need him to absolve her. She needed him to witness that she was sorry, to make it real, outside her own head. And maybe that was enough. Can I ask you something? Thomas said. Yeah. Why'd you leave? The question he'd wanted to ask for 3 decades. The one that kept him up some nights. The one he'd answered himself 1,000 different ways. None of them quite right. She stared at her tea. Long pause. I was scared. She said finally. We were getting serious. Real serious. And I looked at you one day and thought, what if I'm not enough? What if you wake up in 5 years and realize you settled? So I left before you could. I never would have. I know. She interrupted. I know that now. But 25-year-old me was stupid. I thought love was supposed to be fun, easy, and what we had felt heavy, like a mortgage, like a life sentence. And I just wanted to run. So I ran. Thomas sat with that. 30 years. 30 years of wondering what he did wrong. And it was never about him. That's a terrible reason, Thomas said. Yeah, it really is. They both almost laughed. Almost. Someone who came back. Someone who didn't. The check was still on the table. Face down. So what now? Elena asked. I don't know, Thomas said. And he didn't. They sat there. 2 people. In a booth. Not the people they used to be. Not strangers exactly. Something in between. I'm glad you came, Elena said. Me too, Thomas said. And he meant it. Not forgiveness. Not reconciliation. Just glad. For closure maybe. For proof that they were both real. That what they had wasn't something he invented to make sense of the loss. She finished her tea. He finished his cold coffee. They talked a little more. Small things. What they did for work. Where they lived. Surface stuff. The deep things would take more than one afternoon. If there even were more afternoons. They didn't exchange numbers. They didn't make plans. They just sat. For an hour that felt like 5 minutes. Or maybe 5 minutes that felt like an hour. When they finally stood to leave, they hugged. Brief. Careful. Like they were both made of glass. Thank you, she whispered. Thomas didn't say you're welcome. He just nodded. And then she was gone. Out the door. Into whatever Tuesday afternoon she had waiting for her. Thomas sat back down. Looked at the empty seat across from him. The teacup still had warmth in it. Because that's the thing. You can't go back. You only look back. And sometimes looking back is enough. Thomas paid the check. Left a good tip. Put his jacket on. Walked outside into air that felt different than the air he walked in with. Here is the question for you. Is there a door you're still watching? A phone call you're still waiting for? Or did you finally stop waiting and start living? Tell me in the comments. I read them all. Next video, we're going to talk about the opposite. People who got the call and wished they hadn't. I'll see you there.